So let's talk a little bit about production then. So like I was saying, I'm gonna have Emmanuel do a couple of, so you guys saw it live. You saw the director talking to the DP about a couple of corrections that have to be made to a call sheet or things that have to be added to that call sheet / shot list. So that's awesome how we're able to like really show real world examples to you. English, it's not an easy language. Anyways, going back to what we were saying. So I think the next thing would be production. So from the director's perspective, I'm gonna give my side and then I'm gonna have Emmanuel jump in again. And then later we're gonna have Val talk about post-production. And after that, we're gonna talk about festivals. All right, so the director's side, like I said, you kind of have to have that broader overarching look of the big picture and understand where the story is and what the goals are for each scene, each character, or if it's a commercial, for that commercial as a whole, which usually it's a 30-second piece or a 1 minute, or if it's a brand film, couple minutes long. So it's definitely way shorter than even a short film would be, because a short film would usually start around 5 minutes. Usually it's around 10, 12, 15, 20 minutes long. So it's a whole different length really of script, and usually you take more days to shoot that. But when it comes to the production, then you need to bring all of those documents to set, and you kind of have to have all those positions assigned for the cast, which are the actors, and the crew, which are the people that are behind the camera. And that crew is going to include, like we're talking about here multiple times, DP, the director of photography. It's gonna have the gaffer, the grip, sound mixer or boom op, so the boom operator, the guy that holds that microphone to follow the actors around and capture the best sound quality that you can on set, which is very important too, because the visuals alone only go, you know, a certain way, but then you need a little more added to that, which is the sound, which is a huge part of the film.
Yeah.
And then a few more things that you can have on set. Emmanuel, do you want to talk a little bit more about like the AD and whatnot, the camera operator, camera assistant?
Yeah, there's so many roles into a set. It's wild how when you watch a movie as a kid, you don't realize all these names are a part of this production. But when you go on set, especially to make the set work, you have the AD. AD always helps the director, you know, with the directing, with the acting, maybe, you know, smaller roles, kind of like the extras, or, you know, the people that aren't the main characters get directed by the AD. And then specific roles of the AD would also be, you know, making sure time goes well, making sure time goes fast, making sure everything's on time. Producers always on set, making sure, you know, nothing catches on fire, nothing explodes. The logistical assistant of production sets and making sure, you know, no one.
Unless it's Oppenheimer, then he's there to make sure everything explodes.
Yeah, he's there to make sure there's a huge explosion and make sure my friend next to me that was sleeping during the movie would wake up. But yeah, super important. These small little positions that you don't really think about. AC is a camera assistant. First AC, second AC, even third AC, depending on how big the shoot is. Camera assistants. The TP might not always be holding the camera, might not always be wanting to swap out the lenses, depending on how the shoot is. There's an AC that swaps out the lenses, that does the focus pull, and all the other ACs kind of add on to that, depending on how many there are and how many rows are split up.
Even under the gaffer and grip departments, where the grip is the person that really is bringing things around. Yeah, the best boy grip, and then you have like, exactly.
Yeah.
So you keep going under that line of different duties within that job.
So the post-production is something that I used to do a lot. Post-production, the whole editing process, the whole making the movie. You don't really make the movie until you have all the footage. You have all the clips, you have all the sound, you have everything kind of finalized. But the editing process does take a big portion of the actual production. You go in there, depending on how the shoot is, depending on how everything works out, you have the director come on and kind of view the editing process. You have an editor, you have a color grader, you have sound designer, you have a composer, assistant editors, just depending on how big the project is. We've done shoots where the director is the editor. We've done shoots where the director and editor don't even meet. We have, shoots that there's 5 layers into who's working on these projects. The different roles could be, editor, editor's assistant, color grader, someone that does color correction as well, depending, how many people there are into it. Special effects.
VFX person, yeah, exactly. I was going to go into that because, there's a big thing now with animations and motion graphics. So those are like the movements and the animations that happen to graphics within a video, or just the visual effects themselves. So that can be 1 or 2 different people, or if it's a Marvel movie or an animated film, it's hundreds, thousands of people involved.
That's everyone. That's more than the production itself. A good
Exactly.
amount of times. Yeah, there's so many layers into this, and I'm happy that I try not to do it myself, because that's always a headache. It's crazy because the editor, like I said before, he makes the actual movie because he has the puzzles. He puts the puzzles together. So if you're watching a movie and you're like, wow, it looks great, but something's off about it. The pacing's weird, or this is weird. It's the editor's fault. No, I'm playing. No, but it's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of responsibility being the editor and kind of making sure that the script and the emotions of the script can be portrayed sometimes weeks after, sometimes even a year or 2 after, and making that edit happen and making it take place.
That's a really good point. Sometimes you're watching a movie and you don't quite realize what, especially if you don't have what Scorsese calls the visual literacy, which is basically being used to watching so many films and understanding storytelling. Some people have that, some people don't, especially people that are not in the industry. Just doesn't come to them as naturally. So it's harder to understand, why is this film weird? And a lot of times, like Emmanuel said, it could be the editing, just the flow is weird and the way these shots or scenes are put together. So it's a huge responsibility.